You can't leave anything alone. Lawnmower, the hydraulic jack, the shop. You tinker with it and then you take it out and try it.
I hate when people do that, when they're like, that looks easy, and then they do it, and you're like, see, I told you it was hard. Well, my first car blew up.
Yeah.
And then I get in the backup car, and it doesn't have power steering. It was like 100 degrees, race suit. I got to a point, I'm like, Ron, I'm done. I'm pulling in the pit.
Don't worry, it's only 4 laps to go. I got a bottle of water for you.
Because I was like, I'm so thirsty.
Only 4 laps to go. You're almost there. I got a big reward for you. What's up? Welcome to the latest episode of Let's Be RONest, LFG, presented by none other than Nitto Tires and Driving Line. Make sure to subscribe. That's the subliminal commercial quote.
I wouldn't say that's subliminal, Ron.
Yeah,
It's the opposite of subliminal.
Our greatest guest, I shall call you a automotive YouTuber, I guess.
Yeah, I mean,
Taylor Ray, none other than Taylor Ray, straight out of the great state of and city of Orlando, Florida. Welcome to the show, brother.
Good to be here.
Yeah,
we can talk like we normally do, except with microphones and headphones.
So, you're out. We got you out here. You get to witness round 8, Long Beach. No more Irwindale. Rest in peace. Let's start off with what are your expectations of FD Long Beach? What are you thinking? Forecasts? You know,
I mean, I haven't seen the layout, so I'm not 100% sure what. I mean, I saw the little graphic they made of the layout, so I've got a general idea. I don't know. I actually have very little expectations, which I kind of enjoy that because then it's more of a surprise,
fresh and brand new. Yeah.
If I look up everything beforehand, then I kind of know what I'm gonna see and what I'm gonna expect. So I don't know. I mean, I'm curious. Is it the same surface?
It's the same surface. Yeah. Using instead of them going the regular way, they'll be coming up Shoreline Drive to a left, sweeping to left turn, sweeping right, and then it looks basically like an S. But I'm just wondering what you think of what's going to happen this past weekend, this weekend.
I mean, James is the easy bet.
Yeah.
You know, there's a reason he's the machine.
Mm-hmm.
It's interesting too. Like I remember when he first started back with RTR and he was having a little bit of struggles with the Eurofighter overseas. And people I heard the murmurings that like, oh, maybe he's not the best. And I'm like, no way. James is the best. And it's undoubtable. And then last year, but then this year, he really just showed that to be true, like always.
Any standout drivers in the field that you're rooting for?
Oh, that's a tough one. I mean, it's really cool to see Adam up in the mix, you know?
Yeah, agreed.
I went to his first drift event with him, you know, as like a supporting, because I didn't have a working drift car at the time, you know? So like to see him not just in FD, not just moderately competitive, like in the hunt for second, third place in the championship, that's crazy. And I got to say, I would say that I'd be rooting for him.
You know what's silly is I did a few teasers, right, about American drifting at the Andy episode about American drifting and European drifting, right? And where are the best drivers coming out, right? Obviously, a lot of them are European, right, that are doing quite well, right? But Adam LZ, if I were to rate an American driver driving and competitively in FD, Adam's he's killing it.
He's doing so well. And it drives me crazy because everyone always tries to diminish anyone's success. But like I see comments of people saying, well, if anyone had the money to drive 6 days a week, then they'd be, the best too. And it's like, no, dude, there's plenty of people who have the money to go drift 6 days a week and they are not even in FD. Like it's not. The money helps, having the funding, the resources, and the facility, all of that helps. Mm-hmm. But you can have all that and not make it past top 32 in a Pro-Am. Mm-hmm. I've seen it, So like I don't know. It's crazy to see his level of aggression mixed with consistency. I think
Yeah.
that's the thing. Like, I think James Deane and Piotr, when they both came, I think that changed the dynamic of FD forever, because prior to that, you had your, this is not to sound mean, but like your Chris Forsbergs, who was like, as much as I hate to admit it, I'm kind of more that way. I'm very drive at 80% consistent, right? You had the people that would drive consistent and be reserved so they wouldn't make mistakes. And that was a winning formula. And then you have, like, on the other end of the spectrum, which it's funny that me and Denofa are friends, but the Denofas, like, he's going to go out there and just lay it all on the line. And if it works, he's going to win, but it's not going to work every time. Right. And James came in and like did both. It's like he's driving the crazy chase run that's like risking it, but he's not risking it.
Yeah.
He's in control. I don't know. I've thought about that a lot. And after that, everyone's like, okay, we can't just go run at 70, 80% and win on the other person making mistakes anymore. Like, we have to go run door the whole lap and not make mistakes. So I don't know, just seeing Adam get to that point, you can kind of watch it in drivers as they progress, like how they'll go from, maybe they're consistent, but they're not pushing hard enough. Then they start trying to push and they start making big mistakes. And then a lot of them don't ever find that point where they can do both.
But with James Deane, you're like, what the?
He's just, I don't get it. He's so good.
Yeah.
I don't think there's any other motorsport, even F1. Like, I'm a big Max Verstappen fan, and like, I think you can say that he's the best, but still, it's all different cars. Like, the amount of driving James has done in so many different cars, it's just undeniable that he is the best.
Now, here, let me give you a scenario, right? Me and Andy talked about this on the first episode, right? Even today, right? You put James Deane in a Mustang RTR, right? Same Nitto G2, and then you get another Mustang. In fact, you get the one that Chelsea drove, that Hobson's driving now, right? And you do it like a boxing match, right? 5 rounds, right? U.S. versus Europe, right? Who do you think's gonna win? Chelsea Denofa, mature, controlled, but then even in his championship year, he was very controlled, right?
Yeah.
Chelsea Denofa versus James Deane, 5 rounds.
James.
Really?
I mean, and I love Chelsea, but James, especially over 5 rounds. Chelsea would beat him 1 or 2 rounds. If it just depends too on if Chelsea doesn't like to drive
at 80%.
Mature. That's why it's funny that we're friends, because we're so opposite in that and in building cars. Like, he gives me so much crap for like making all these brackets and stuff, and I'm like, I just want it to be nice and serviceable and be able to take it apart and put it back together. He's like, I'm gonna zip tie it all on there because it's less weight, and it's easier and quicker. Like, for him, it's all about getting to the driving. And for me, it used to be like that. And somewhere along the way, I started to like building cars, which is weird, because I heard people say that back in the day. I'm like, you must just not be a good driver, and that's your excuse to not drive. But now I get it. But yeah, I think.
You know what's funny? We're on the subject of FD, right? And I've seen you drive, right? You're one of the few people out there that I think adheres to the built, not bought. Plus, I can't name anybody who has great fabrication skills and is able to drive. You know what I mean? Would you, let's say a ABC company says, hey, Taylor, I believe in your driving. Would you enter FD?
Yeah. Yes. Like, if I could pull together, the funding.
Let's say all that came together.
Oh yeah, absolutely. I mean, that's the only reason I wouldn't do it. It's just the commitment. It's funny, not to keep bringing up Chelsea, but Chelsea's actually kind of the reason why I think it's a good thing. I went to FD Atlanta and saw behind the scenes his program, back like, I think it was his second year in FD. And I'm like, man, he's a great driver. And seeing the struggles he go through, I don't think he made it out of top 16 that time because his car broke. And I was
Mhm.
like, oh, it put it, because from the outside looking in before you've seen behind the curtain, you're like,
Mhm.
oh, you just have to drive good. And then you see behind the curtain, you're like, oh, you can be the best driver in the world. But if your program's not completely up to par and your car's not great, like you don't have a great tire, it doesn't matter, So luckily I'd have the tires covered, but best tire. But
So let's say somebody like Von Gittin Jr. Hey, I'm coming up with the fourth car. You want to drive for me?
oh, absolutely, 130,000%.
I,
But I think like a lot of people will ask me, viewers and stuff like, oh, why haven't you done FD yet? And I'm like, I don't know that you
it's a lot of commitment.
grasp what it takes. Like doing FD is not just go put your car in the trailer, show up. Like,
Yeah.
it would have to be for me, my whole everything. I couldn't really do much of anything else between prepping the car, building the car, and towing out to races, like towing to Washington,
Yeah.
that's 4 days each way, plus 2-3 days of prep, plus the time there, so yeah.
But arrive and drive.
Oh, arrive and drive, I'd do it all day. I mean, even running my own program, it's something I toss back and forth many
Well,
times.
you sort of ran your own program with clutch kickers.
Yep.
But in my opinion, I think if you were to be an arrive and drive driver, I think you did well in FD.
Yeah.
I think you'd be at least top 16, at least on the least.
I would hope
because I've
so.
seen you driving in clutch kickers. That's why one of the reasons why I bring this up, right? I don't know anybody out there, right, that can build well their vehicle, right, from the start to finish. And mind you, you have help once in a while, but in the grand scheme of things, you come up with the concept, build it, right? Take for instance the Corvette, right? Build a quality vehicle, FD spec, right?
Yeah.
And then take it out there and kill it, just killing it in driving, right? I don't know anybody who can do that. Usually you have your arrive and drive cars. They outsource to a shop that
Right.
has 3 or 4 employees, right? And they build it, right? But
Or even, a lot of people will build, I've noticed a lot of people will build the bulk of the car, say 80% or 70%, but they won't do fabrication or wiring.
Ah.
Whereas for me, like I just enjoy learning stuff. And there was a point where that switched where I think it was when I built the Miata the very first time. I wanted to wire the whole chassis and I was like super afraid of it. I was like, oh, it's wiring. I hate wiring. Everyone says that. And that's what I would say. What I really meant was I don't understand it. And I wired it with a PDM and just figuring it out, I learned, and I'm like, this really isn't that bad,
Yeah.
And then the vet, I'm like, okay, let me try to do this, but let me automate everything, and let me do mil spec wire, and let me do heat shrink room, and it's not even really about it's got to be partially about the pride of having built it myself, because like if there's anything that somebody else did, I feel a little weird about it. So maybe that is part of it, but a lot of it is just I enjoy learning I think learning is probably, once you stop learning, it gets boring. Some people are okay with that. Like, I don't ever want to be the best, because if I'm ever the best at anything, that means I'm not learning anymore. But one thing I was going to say, and I'd be curious your thoughts on this, that I think there is a downside though to me building my own car, and the upside is I understand the car and I understand mechanically how it works, and I don't break a lot of stuff because like I understand how it all functions, and I can do something and be like, ooh, yeah, that's not going to be good to the input shaft or whatever. But I think that can be a detriment, because I see kids, that maybe their parents have money and they're able to hire a mechanic, build the car, run
I
the
know
car.
what you're about to get
And
at.
they drive, they have zero mechanical sympathy, and they drive a lot harder than I do, because they don't even understand that what they're doing is so detrimental. And I think that can be an advantage. You know what I mean? Whereas like I am like, if I break this transmission, or if I blow this motor up, not only do I have to pay for it, but I got to fix it. I got to take the motor out and, oh, it's at 220. Like, it's going to start getting to that point where I should,
You know what my take is on that, right? Is there's a saying that goes in racing is if you're not breaking shit, you're not pushing the limits, right? And when somebody, an individual such as yourself, who know every conceivable bracket, nut, bolt, gear, bearing of that vehicle, right? You get a sense of understanding and learning, right?
Mm-hmm.
And that restraint, you know how much you can push it. You know what I mean? And when you
That's true.
when you do break it, right? There's something to be learned there,
Yeah.
right? Through hardship is where growth occurs,
Yeah.
right? When same thing, I had the same fucking problem, right? Where I'm like, ew, wiring, and then you jump into the deep end with two feet, and you're like, after you go through the motions, right? You're comfortable with it. It's just like a couple months back, right? My HVAC broke, right? And I'm like going, I can't be an HVAC guy, right?
Right.
My air conditioning, right? And I'm like going, dude, all right, Google, YouTube, that. And I'm like going, okay, well, I'll just do what I've done research for. And we're like, wow, it wasn't that bad. What was supposed to be a $3,000 repair job. Now, mind you, screwing around with coils and
Capacitors.
Yeah, capacitors. You got to take the utmost respect on. But what was supposed to be a $1,500 job turned into a $30 thing capacitor.
I had my capacitor fail too recently.
So you're like going, right? But
it's like it's the unknown that's really scary. And once you know what you didn't know, it just becomes so much simpler. Like for me, wiring, it was first the chassis wiring. And I almost didn't do it. I was almost like, let me just keep the stock me out of harness. And then I'm like, gosh, it's so much stuff. Like I'm not using any of the engine stuff. And then I did that and I was like, okay, that's not that bad. And then I got to my K-swap Safiro and I'm like, okay, I need to build the engine harness because the Haltech that I got, it was just an unterminated harness. So I'm like, and I was putting it off and putting it off and putting it off and like
do the same shit.
Doing every other project before getting to it. Because I was like, I don't know how do I wire an idle air control valve? It has like 5 wires. What are they? I don't know. And then I almost paid my friend to do it. I was so close. And then I decided, you know what? Let me just do it. And if it works, like then I'll know how to do it.
Yeah.
And I think that was one of the big turning points for me because I remember really considering paying a friend to do it and then just going, all right, let me just do it. Worst case, it doesn't run. And then I pay him to fix it, And it worked. And I was like, oh, even like that. And that project demystified wiring for me because, it's like, it's all just repeats of the same thing. Like a pressure sensor is 3 wires, the 5-volt reference in, ground, and then signal out. A thermocouple or a temperature sensor is just ground and then resistance. How much resistance is coming out? An injector is just 2 wires, connection, pulse. It's all the same thing.
You know what's silly about that? When I was in the 6th grade, right? And in the 6th grade, they test for color blindness, right? And so they're like, yeah, there's a number 43 and there's a number 4. I go, I can't see the 43 in there. They go, well, you're colorblind. Are you saying I'm going to go blind? No, you just won't be an electrician. And then lo and behold,
that's funny.
I'm doing wiring engine computers in and doing house wiring. I'm like going, yeah.
Dude, house wiring, once you've done car wiring, you're like, this is like preschool. Like I could teach
and it's
a
archaic.
6-year-old how to do it. Yeah, it is
archaic.
It weirds me out. It took me a long time. I'm like, I'm taking wires, right? And then I'm putting them in a metal box to protect them. That makes no sense to me. It is different, and I understand it's because that way it's shorts or whatever.
Yeah.
But still, it's so counterintuitive. On a car, you're like, you got to keep the wires away from the metal because they're going to rub through it and it's going to short and all this stuff. But there's so many simple things that like a lot of people don't understand about wiring. And I'm not saying that like I am mighty because I do. I was there. And I'm like, man, it's like one of those things that like once you understand it, you don't understand how you didn't understand
Yeah.
it. You know, you're like, it's so simple.
Yeah.
One thing that I see a lot of people make a mistake on their race car, I did too, until I learned the hard way, is they kill switch the power. So then you've got all these power wires running through your car. But all you have to do is kill switch the ground. If you take the ground off the battery, that power wire is useless. It's not going to do anything.
Yeah.
And when you switch the power, if you don't have the alternator ran to the right spot, then it'll run on. And there's all these things. And all of these people still to this day kill switch the power on their car. And the only reason I learned it was my Miata had this big, like, ka-chunk kill switch. And it was a metal case. And the kill switch shorted, and it shorted my power wire. And I chased my tail like right before a round of clutch kickers, and it was that the kill switch shorted. And so to use it, I just put it on the ground. And I'm like, why didn't I just do this in the first place? This is way easier.
Speaking of clutch kickers, right? And we've talked about driving an FD and being able to build your stuff and drive it well. You know what I mean?
No.
You've done competitive driving. Obviously, I've seen you in clutch kickers, and you did very well. Mountain driving, you just blew up your transmission there. Demos, you're about to embark in drag racing, road racing, oval racing with the Freedom 500, off-road maybe. You've done a few off-road. Now, mind you, you're a fabrication aficionado, and you're also a driver. What's your favorite type of driving?
Oh, it's tough because there's different pros and cons, right? Like drifting, I would say for peak enjoyment, drifting. Competition, it's the hardest thing I've ever done motorsports wise. And I think there's a lot of evidence to back up that it is, people are going to debate this forever, but it is like one of the hardest motorsports. I've seen people, I won't name names, but there's people that have done really well in a lot of other motorsports and not done well.
Oh, no, I get it.
Because it is so hard, because you have 1 minute decides your fate, right? But even just for fun drifting, my favorite thing about drifting is that when I'm driving for fun, me and my buddy Ben, I lived with him for a while, and which is actually a long roundabout story of how I ended up doing YouTube full time. But we both had LS Miatas, and we would drive together all the time. And there's just something so rewarding about driving well with your friend, because it's like you both have to do the right things to make it work, you know? But the downside to drifting is it's so short-lived. It's like very high peak enjoyment, but very short duration. Whereas like karting, road racing, oval track racing, I would say for me at least, it's a little less maybe peak enjoyment, but the enjoyment duration is way longer.
Well, it's funny. Not many of the people know it out there, but when duration and then pain at the end.
Oh gosh.
We went to the Bristol Freedom 500 race, right?
I think it was the Bristol 1000.
Bristol 1000.
Technical.
And if you've ever been to the track, the banks are insane, right?
It's way. There's not many things that I go into thinking are gonna be easier than they end up being. Like because I hate when people do that, when they're like, that looks easy, and then they do it and you're like, see, I told you it was hard. But snowmobiling is one that I thought was going to be easy, was not even remotely easy. I have so much respect for snowmobilers. But then two was the Bristol track. Like seeing that track, I'm like, that looks easy. But the first couple of times you turn into that bank, the back end of the car starts to step out, and we were going legitimately almost 90. And the first time you do it, you're like, I'm going into the wall. I'm going to die. But then the bank catches you. And once you know it does, it feels a little better. But yeah, intense banks. And
then on top of that, at the end of the race, so I'm spotting
I was going to say, it's important to know.
I was spotting for Taylor, and then the power steering goes out with like 9 laps to go.
Well, my first car blew up.
Yeah.
And then I get in the backup car, and it doesn't have power steering. They tried to fix it. And my Miata doesn't have power steering, and everyone thinks it's crazy. I'm like, no, it's fine. It's great. But man, that car with no power steering, because you had to crank so much lock in the turns, and it was like 100 degrees, race suit. I had 2 bottles of water downed in the first 10 minutes. And I'm like, Ron spotted me, which was so great to begin with, just in general, because, you know, he's like, oh, this guy's here, just there. But I got to a point, I'm like, Ron, I'm done. I'm pulling in the pits.
And I was radioing. I was like, "Hey, don't worry. It's only 4 laps to go. I got a bottle of water for you."
Yeah, because I was like, I'm so thirsty.
Only 4 laps to go. You're almost there. I got a big reward for you. And you're like, "My arm hurts. My arm hurts. My arm hurts."
Because it was like physically, my arms were getting tired. But then I was like, dude, I'm so thirsty. And you're like, I'll have a water bottle for you. You got to do it. And I'm like, oh, okay.
And you finished, I believe, top
I didn't
10.
Finish. No, I don't know if it was top 10, but I finished. I mean, that was a win.
So that's another aspect of driving that created some crazy things. You got duration, but there was pain at the end.
I would not have expected it to be that much physical effort. But I mean, you got to think it's a big, heavy car. And there's a big difference between a car that's set up to be manual steering and a car that is hydraulic power steering that's not working. Because then you're fighting all the fluid and stuff too. So yeah, it was in the banks. It was rough.
Oh, here's a part of driving, and it's a way of driving, right? Why are you so addicted to jet boating?
Oh,
that seems to be your latest.
All right.
I want to hear this, and I have a few questions that it boggles my mind why you go in the Everglades.
Well, not the Everglades. We're the back rivers of Florida.
Okay, go.
Well, so a couple things. One, I have like every time I go to the track or something, you know, friends will be like, "Man, you're just jet boating all the time." But I think something people don't realize is like a lot of people think of a boat day, right? And they think like it's a whole day. Like you're gonna go out there at 8 a.m. and be out there all like I don't do that. I go out after work. I normally work till like 9 or 10 at night, but like I'll call it early, 5:30 or so, and then I'll go out for an hour and a half, 2 hours max. So I can go out 2-3 nights a week sometimes. Yeah. So the jet boating, honestly, the jet boat kind of ruined cars for me to some extent. I'm not saying I don't still love cars. I do. But it's like the enjoyment to effort ratio.
I get it.
Is better than anything I've tried. And I've done side-by-sides, like four-wheelers. I love all of those. But those still, I mean, I'm sure if you lived in a certain area, maybe a side-by-side, if you had like a trail at your house kind of thing.
Yeah.
But the jet boat, it's like I'm 10 minutes from the boat ramp and I'm in a good spot where I can like, there's the main river, then there's a back river, then there's a super gnarly back river all right there. But going and riding these back rivers, I mean, just in Florida alone, I don't know how many there are. You know, we're still, we have barely scratched the surface and we've done tons of different rides. But then it's like the equivalent, the analogy I've tried to give friends, and it's one of those things where like nobody believes me. They think I'm like crazy and I just happen to be a jet boat fanatic. And I'm like, no, think about like all the things I've done. And this is the thing that I think is like the best value. Like there's a reason, you know, but it's like having a race car, except the track is open 24/7. There's no entry fee. You can go at 3 a.m. If you want to go out on the racetrack at 3 a.m, you can go on the racetrack at 3 a.m. And there's like 100 racetracks in Florida, but more than that, there's an endless number of racetracks. There's big, wide drag strips. There's big, fast.
In the form of a river.
Right. You know, or there's lakes if you wanted to just go straight line fast. Or there's, regular back rivers. Or there's creeks, you know, it's endless. And when we go on like a group ride, I mean, having 8 jet boats going through this river, it's like driving a Togay mountain road, except you know, you have no idea what's coming around each corner and there's obstacles. It's and my boat, like the Jetstream specifically, they have a flatter hull. And so they don't hook up much around the turns, but they slide. And you have to
drive. It's like drifting on water.
It's literally drifting. You have to throw it into the turn early. and basically like front clip the inside of the turn.
Yeah.
And so like, it's literally as if you were to go drifting on a toge road that's 30 miles long and your tires never wear out.
The duration is
all you have to do is put gas in it. Like, and my boat has been pretty dang, knock on wood, reliable. And the funny thing is, yeah, thank you. I needed a solid knock. The funny thing is, like, my jet boat friends, like, we'll go out on a ride, right? You know, and it's like we drove 2 hours to get to this river, and we'll have 4 hours of ripping, maybe 30 minutes to an hour of chilling. So for 3 hours straight, it's high intensity. And we'll get to like a point where we can maybe turn around. I'm like, dude, I got my fill. Like, I'm good. And they're like, what do you mean? We drove like 2 hours to get here. We've only been riding for 3 hours. And it's like, our brains work so different in that aspect. Cause I'm like, dude, I drive 18 hours to go to a comp and I get less seat time than we did in the last 3 hours for the whole weekend. And I drove 18 hours each way to get there, you know? So for me, I'm like, wow, I've had way more fun than the effort it took me to get here already. Like I'm in the positive, you know?
So one of the things I get that addiction and that effortless to enjoy, right? But there's a caveat that always irks me when I see your videos. Need a water? Yeah,
no, I'm good. I'm good.
Okay. Thought I'd have to perform the Heimlich maneuver.
No.
I saw one of your videos, right? And you ran through a spider web or something like that, right?
Yeah.
And we're talking about Florida here, right? Florida, right? Alligators out there, pythons.
Gators don't bother you. Spiders, bro. Spiders.
So, do you ever think about the contingencies that conceivably could happen of an overturned boat, and ending up in the water, alligator nearby? None of that stuff crosses your mind.
It does, because I'm a very think things through individual. And let me tell you, I have had to get out of my boat in water that's you can't see your hand 6 inches below the surface. It gets even better. So if the ground at the bottom of the water was solid, you'd be standing like waist deep in eelgrass, but then the bottom is muddy. So then you sink about to your waist in the mud, and then the eelgrass is up to your chest, pushing the boat. Like, there's for sure gators everywhere. But I mean, it's like that was like the only choice, because basically a jet drive is a vacuum, you know, it's sucking water up. So when we get in these areas of the eelgrass, it's going to clog the jet drive and you can't go anywhere. So you have to basically push it to a deep enough spot to get back on plane. And that was actually the first group ride I did. And it's funny because it was supposed to be a chill ride for my buddy Zane's birthday. It's like Zane, Cade, and Morgan. They're three brothers, and they have jet boats, and they started building jet boats, and they all work together. It's really cool. But anyway, it was Zane's birthday, and we were going to go to, there's a spring in Florida that you can boat into and like hang out at. And then they're like, they're not those kind of people. So I was like, it's weird. That's what we're doing. But then we went on this group ride, and the first bit was like sand bottom, and it was fine. And then the second bit was that eelgrass. And I mean, we all got stuck probably 30 times each, and you had to get out and push. And trust me, I've thought about it. And that's why I'll only go do the crazy gnarly back rivers if I'm with people.
Just in case.
Yeah, because like there's a good chance that. So my boat, actually, it was Zane's boat originally. It was sunk in the rapids in Virginia for 4 days. They had to hike 5 hours each way in and out to get to the boat to do the rescue mission. And there's a video I have of them towing it and another jet boat behind an XJ Jeep through the woods 7 miles. They're just not on trailers, like just dragging the two boats out of the woods for like 7 miles. So that's why it's fun going with those guys too, because they've been in some shit. So it's like, you know, they're not worried. They're like, we'll figure it out, you know, especially Morgan. He's like the quieter one, but he's always the like, he'll figure it out, you know. And
despite you guys are completely fearless of spiders.
The spiders are just like they're a surprise, you know. Like you go through some branches, and then there's a spider freaking rappelling down from your windshield onto your hand. I had one. It was like the second ride we did. I blasted through some tree branches, and I had lights on the top of my windshield frame. And I went to like grab the Spanish moss out, and I grabbed a spider the size of my hand that was like in the. Yeah, I didn't know he was there until I accidentally grabbed him. I was like, that ride was the worst one for spiders for some reason. It was, I ended up with so many spiders in my boat. And then you're riding, you're going like 40 miles an hour and a leaf touches your leg and you're like, oh no, is it a spider, you know?
and yet you still go out.
Yeah. I mean, it's normally not that bad if you don't have to blast through a lot of tree branches. But I mean, it's so fun to just plow through branches when they're hanging down and you have to, you know. It's just the jet boats. It's so much fun. I mean, like literally the only reliability problem I've had. Yep, double knock. See, now we know we're good. Is the steering box? It's like a tilt helm, and it's basically got like a ring and pinion.
Yeah.
But the pinion is not a full. They're like powder metal gears, and I keep breaking them. And it's funny because I've been collecting all these parts to do a custom setup using like a billet mini sprint car steering rack, a race car column, like this combination of parts and this aftermarket nozzle and whatever. And I was just out like 2 days ago, and I was telling my buddy who has a jet boat about how I was going to do all those upgrades. And I've broken 2 of the steering boxes. And I was going to say the one that's in the boat now, I just put it in there a couple months ago, and I feel like it's on. You know, it's on its way out, and literally on our ride out, I broke it again. So but other than that, I mean, it's like a stock jet ski drivetrain, so just tuned, you know. So it's like, it's just so simple. And then you're out in nature, like it even when it's super hot out, as long as you can get out of the sun, it's just so fun. And it's one of those things that I think people can't fully appreciate till they do it. And there's a lot of people that I've taken. And once they do it, they're like, I see. Like, I get it now.
When you first start doing it, I get it, right? You can do whatever. You're in nature, and then you're jumping, down trees,
everything.
The only thing that would be hard for me, like let's say the Orlando FD round, I'm definitely going to come out early.
Yeah.
And me and Harry can go out there. The only thing I'd be wondering when I'm in that boat is just like, are there alligators in the sewer?
Well,
what spiders are we going to run into?
If we went out, like we would. It's fine. Like
Do you take any protection, a knife or anything like that, in case you have to deal with an alligator or a bat?
Nah, alligators are cool for the most part. Yeah,
I'm not from Florida, so that explains why.
Most alligators, like they won't even let you get near them.
Really?
Yeah, they'll run away. I've seen a couple. They've been a little more aggressive is the wrong word, but they've been a little more brave this season.
Really?
Like where they'd like kind of like swim up to the beach, but for the most part, unless it's a mom protecting her nest, they'll just like run away. Like they're more scared of us than we are of them for the most part.
Really?
The only problem comes in is when people feed them. Because then they lose their fear of humans. So the ones that you see that will come up to people, someone's been feeding them. And that's a problem.
Dropping knowledge on alligators. I like this.
I mean, an alligator could tear you up quick, but like they are pretty. They're really chill. Like,
oh, really?
Yeah. I mean, I don't know if I was a reptile or living in the animal kingdom, but when you see them, they like once you know what to look for, you realize how many there are that you don't see.
Oh, yeah.
Because they dip under before you get there, and they leave like a specific ripple.
Oh, really?
Yeah, you can kind of see it. It's almost like a long egg shape, and then a couple bubbles. So once you realize that, you'll start seeing those everywhere, and you're like, "Oh, that was a gator. That was a gator. That was a gator." And I mean, you'll see the actual gators too, but they're not really a big concern. It happens like every year. Someone gets like bit by it. Recently, a lady. It was like a lady and a husband in a canoe, older, and they were in a really shallow area, and I think they spooked it, because you'll see that sometimes if you come up on them and they're not paying attention, like when you startle them, they will like flail up in the air. I mean,
Mhm.
it is a crazy sight when they're like right next to you doing like a 360 in the air. And I think that's what happened. It probably like flipped the canoe. And I think she didn't make it. But so like it happens.
Yeah, let's definitely go boating and
Right. Well,
next
but think about the chances though, right?
She didn't make it, folks.
I
It's
don't-
like,
I
fuck,
don't
all right,
think-
yeah, let's go boating tomorrow. I'm in.
Might as well. But I mean, that's like one in however many tens of thousands. Like you probably got a better chance of getting struck by lightning. That's my point. But I don't know. It's just neat. It's neat to be able to explore. The downside is you realize that who we are as gearheads, we are always the bad guy. I have learned. Like I always thought it was cars specifically. I'm like, people hate cars, so I'm the bad guy for liking cars, race cars, loud cars. But it's anything, and it doesn't even have to be gas. Like the jet boat, the kayakers, they hate it. The fishing people hate it. And I'm like super courteous because I don't want, first off, I don't want to.
It's like the streetcar
Upset
takeover
people.
junk they do.
Yeah, like the takeovers, not streetcar takeover,
Yeah.
but
Yeah.
takeovers. Yeah. Yeah, so it's like I try to be as respectful as possible to not give us a bad name and just to be respectful. But all the way down to like kayakers, like they hate you. And then I have a golf cart with a crazy electric. It's electric, but crazy battery motor, does wheelies.
Oh yeah,
But
that's
even if
right.
I'm just cruising it at 10 miles an hour on the sidewalk, which I'm allowed to do in my town. I'll pull over for a cyclist, and then they'll as they come by, they won't even look, wave. They give me the dirtiest looks, and I'm like, oh, that's right, I'm the bad guy because I'm on the motorized vessel. So I don't know. That was a revelation I had with the jet boat and the golf cart. It was like, man, I always thought it was just cars. But the other, on the positive side of that, is the jet boat. It kind of changed my perspective where I was in this weird spot where I'm like, if I build a street car, right, that's kind of a rowdy car for the street, it's like you can't really enjoy it on the street without risking going to jail. And then it's not great at the track because it's compromised for the street. But then if it's a dedicated race car, you can only take it out once a month, twice a month max. So then you got a car that you spend all this time and money on that you can only drive once or twice a month. And I was kind of in that weird, like in between, like which one's better? And the jet boat made me realize that it's nice to have at least some things that you can enjoy frequently.
Well, instead of a hard day's work and going to the bar, Taylor Ray goes, I'm not going to the bar. I'm going jet boating for an hour and a half to blow off some steam and
get out in nature, meet people.
Yeah, get the same fix I get on what I'm building that I'm going to enjoy. In this case, the Corvette or something of that nature, or even the RX-7 you're building, where you can enjoy those twice a month. But in order to blow some steam, instead of drinking a beer and going to the bar, I'm going to get in my jet boat and enjoy.
Yeah, and like most people drink when they go boating, but I don't because I don't drink. And I gotta pack my sodas. I've gotten in the habit. I always have a Monster when I go out on the river at night, which is not a good time to have a Monster, but whatever. It's my routine. I like it, but it's just nice. It's like a nice reset, And I've thought about like I would love to have some more property, 5-10 acres one day, but I'm also really happy with where I'm at, and I'm super close to the ramp. Everything's convenient, right? But I was thinking about how cool it would be to have property on the river and have make my own little boat ramp, like my jet boat friends could come over, we could all launch. And then I was thinking about it. I'm like, well, at the same time, though, it would remove a lot of interactions I have when I go jet boating, like I meet people at the boat ramp, and there's like this family that rides their golf cart down to the boat ramp at sunset pretty often. And I've like gotten to just know them because I see them while they're there to check out the sunset and I'm pulling the boat out, and I don't know. I enjoy that, especially because I work a lot of times by myself, and I work from home. Like I don't see that many people, and I've met so many people on the river. And that's kind of the other cool thing about the boat is, I was thinking about it on the way here, right? When I was driving over to the studio, I was kind of cruising. I wasn't speeding, but and I wasn't in a hurry. I had plenty of time, right? And I'm like, I should go slower so I can like take all the scenery in. I'm not here very often.
Live in the moment.
Right. And just, really look around. But I'm like, but you really can't because you've got to worry about all these other cars around you and staying in your lane. And, like people romanticize, like, I'm going to take the car out for a country drive with the windows down and the music. And it's never quite what you want it to be. But boating, whether it's a jet boat or not, it's like that feeling. Because there's no lanes. It's usually pretty big. It's not super busy. Nobody's commuting to work.
I get it.
Everyone who's out there is out there for the same reasons you are. So when you're just like cruising down, that's why I like rivers. When you're just cruising down the river, it's like what you wish a country road drive or a back roads drive in your car would be, where you can kind of just relax and look around and take it all in.
Do you get the same? It's funny. I've seen your jet boat videos and obviously the latest tow driving, right? Mm-hmm. And you have your glasses on and you can see the perspective, right?
Right.
But instead of a river, you have the tow. So you're in nature a lot, right?
I really like, and that's what's funny.
Is it the same feeling?
It's different in a lot of ways because I guess the jet boat feels more innocent because there's not really a rule saying what you're doing is wrong. Whereas like on the mountain roads, it's like sometimes maybe if hypothetically you might break the speed limit. And then also it's the jet boats too. They're kind of tanks. Like you can kind of crash and it's okay. Like you might mess it up a little bit, but you can overcook it and bounce. My buddy one ride was like so far in the trees that we had to spend like an hour and a half getting his boat out, but he was fine, whereas like with the mountain road driving, it's kind of higher risk. But it's definitely more intense. But I don't know. I do like, and it's funny too, because the jet boat stuff on Instagram does really well. Like I have kind of figured out a formula and I could make a bunch of videos per ride, but I just kind of make one per ride, just because it's like fun or whatever. But people will criticize us like as if we're destroying the environment, which is funny because they have no idea usually, like I had a guy arguing with me that I was tearing up sensitive mangroves. I'm like, dude, there's not a single mangrove in this video. Mangroves are in brackish water by the coast. But anyway, I say that because we're not, number one, it's jet drives. And we're very respectful to the environment. And a lot of the reason we're out there is because we enjoy the environment and nature. You know what I mean? So it's like backwards. They see us out there.
Alligators, spiders, all that.
Yeah. Jungle spiders, dude. We went in the Ocala forest. I saw two monkeys wrestling on a tree. And
really?
I
Monkeys
went under
too?
the monkeys. And this sounds like BS. But I was like, I've got to be crazy. Like maybe it was like small bears or something. There's a lot of bears. And then we had stopped because there was a jungle spider on my boat. I called it. It was a crazy looking spider. Like not that it was big. It had colors and it looked like a spider that would kill you. And so we stopped and I'm like, dude, that sounds like monkeys. Like I just wrote it off as like I wasn't paying attention and they weren't monkeys. And I guess in Ocala area, they had some like thing back in the day where they did that. They like released a bunch of monkeys. It's like a tourist attraction. So there are actual monkeys in the woods there.
Wow. You have that on any? Have you shot them?
I don't
with the video.
I don't think I got. I have to look at my 360 camera. That's the thing too. Like I have like hours of footage from these rides that I've never done anything with because I just do the meta glasses, which I got those funny enough to film YouTube and didn't realize that they didn't film horizontal. And I was like, well, these were a waste. And I just happened to take them on a jet boat ride. I'm like, this is perfect for this, but I don't know if I got them on there.
Speaking of YouTube, right? One of the questions I wanted to ask you, right, was in your early beginnings, right? You used to work for BC, right? And what caused you to go take that risk back in the day to start producing YouTube videos and become a YouTube influencer? How did all that happen?
So it's kind of a two-part story. So I was working at BC, which the only reason I got the BC job was because of knowing Chelsea.
Mm-hmm.
I was working construction. I had been friends with Chelsea for a bit, and he mentioned that they had an opening. I ended up getting the job there after some trials and tribulations because one of the guys that worked at my old job knew the general manager and talked bad about me. So I almost didn't get the job. Finally got the job. Worked there for a while, went into the tech department, and then I didn't know anything. Like for me, YouTube.
What year was this?
2015.
Wow.
I think, or 2014. It had to be 2015 coming in on 20, because I'm pretty sure my channel started in 2016. So I find out that Adam's coming in and we're doing coilers on his car. And I knew nothing. I didn't know. For me at the time, all I knew of YouTube was like car crash compilations, looking up a Judd V8 E36 hill climb. Like I didn't know that there was people subscribed and there was channels and there was monetization. I knew none of that. And so I find out, like, oh, we're sponsoring this guy and we're going to put coilovers on his car. I'm like, okay. And they're like, oh, he rides BMX. I'm like, oh, cool. I used to ride BMX. That was like,
I used to ride BMX too.
Well, it seems like a lot of car people used to ride. And it was like, I've been in the car since I was a little kid. Because my granddad, my dad, but I had my BMX for a while. And anyway, Adam shows up and he brings his bike so he can
Adam LZ.
Adam LZ, yeah. Okay. So he can play around while we're doing the install. And I'm like, hey man, I used to ride. I was like, can I try a trick on your bike? And I did like a flat ground, like a hop 360. And he was like, oh crap, like you actually like used to ride, because some people say that and not. He probably thought I was going to do like a little wheelie or something, And so we started talking. I'm like, yeah, I haven't driven as much, or I haven't rode as much because I got into drifting and, whatever time. And he's like, oh, I want to get into drifting. And I had told him like, oh, just get a SR 240 and blah, blah, blah. And anyway, we chatted and we kind of became friends. And I didn't really think much of it because, the amount of people that would say, oh, I want to get into drifting. And then they never would. And then like a few months later, he hits me up on Facebook and he's like, hey, I got this 240 with an SR. And he's like, he was debating bringing it back to Florida because all his car friends are in Connecticut. And he was like, do you think I should bring it? Like, I'm worried. I'm like, yeah, dude, bring it. Like, I know everyone. Like, I'll help you find out when events are, all this stuff. So he brings the car down and we would just hang out, go ride. And one day he was just like, you should start a channel, I'll help you get it off the ground and all this. And because it was hard because I could only hang out every so often because I had a full-time job. And so
So you start the YouTube channel.
Yeah, which started around my Miata because we were looking for a Miata for him and it didn't work out. And I was trying to find a 240 actually, and my Miata was just a good deal, a little turbo Miata, and I bought that, and then I started the channel, and I was doing it while doing BC full time for a while, and then it started to make some money. So then I was like, okay, I need to go down.
The YouTube channel.
Yeah.
Oh wow, okay.
So then I was like, okay, I need to go down to part time at BC, which I did, but I'm not a someone who takes big financial risk. Like I'm the opposite of that. Whatever that is. Because I'm just cautious with taking like big financial risks because I'm my only fallback, So I was like holding on to the part-time job because I'm like, at least I still have like a job, so YouTube isn't like the thing that has to sustain me. And I was doing it part-time for a while, but it was tough to try to work, a job part-time, then come home, work on my car till 10 o'clock, go to events. And my friend Ben, he had bought a house with a shop. And he's like, hey, if you want to rent a room from me, you can like rent a room, have shop space. And it was like cheap, It was kind of like my best chance to have a place to work on cars, make content, and live affordably. Because the house I'd been living in for 5 years with a variety of roommates, except for one constant, my old roommate Fed, everyone had kind of moved out. Everyone's going their separate ways. So I needed a place to live. But Ben lived an hour and a half from BC. So it was like, I was kind of forced into it, right? Like my choice was either try to get my own house here, continue doing BC part-time, YouTube part-time, and don't take any risk, or quit, BC altogether, go live with Ben and try to make a go of YouTube full time. And, I mean, in hindsight, at least up until now, it was the better decision. But I was really torn, I was really concerned with doing it. And ironically, the month, it was like something I had to kind of commit to way in advance because my friends like subleased the house from me so I could move earlier, blah, blah, blah. The last month before I moved, my YouTube revenue was down to the lowest it had been since I started as I was about to go do it full time.
What were you thinking?
I was stressed. I was like, dude, I don't know what I'm going to do if this doesn't work. Like luckily Ben, the rent was cheap enough and he parts out Miatas, right? So he's got Ben's used Miata parts and he parts them out. So he's like, well, worst case, you can tear apart cars for me, And I'm like, okay, I'm very, that's not like a move that I probably would have made without kind of having to.
But with the Ben's assistant, you were able to take that risk.
Yeah, it was like, not only was I able to, but it kind of forced my hand to where it's like, okay, I've either got to, spend a bunch of money to stay living in this area, to stay doing both, or I can go save a lot of money, have everything I need to keep making content and try doing it full time.
So how hard was it in the very beginnings of committing to YouTube content? I mean, was it a year being poor, 2 years of being poor? And
it was at least a year. It was kind of a weird cycle. So like when I started YouTube, it was a lot easier than it is now. Like I could make not great content and it would do well. Like there weren't a ton of people doing it, So, when I had moved to Ben's, I was really against ever being fake on camera. That was a big thing. It still is for me. But what I realized is that in an effort to not be fake, not fake emotion and like fake be excited, I was going the opposite way to where I was being less enthusiastic than I would talking to you, or just anybody, right? That about something I'm passionate about. So I was in that spot where I was like very monotone and not excited. And it was because I was trying not to be fake excited, right? And so my views were like down, like everything was just down, but I started making like 5 videos a week, which I don't want to go watch those. Cause like I can't imagine what I could get done in a day that I would make a video. Now it's like I spend like 5-6 days of work, filming to make one video. But and it was, just putting the same or more time into it, even at the same numbers, it got better, which then, it's kind of a vicious cycle. And it's like this, I guess, probably with any business, but with YouTube where, if your views are up and revenue's up, then you're like, cool, I've got more money to spend on content.
Quality.
I can buy better parts and I can buy this project that people might be excited about and I can make more videos. And then that can snowball or rabbit hole up, but it can also go the other way.
When did that start clicking? Where it's just like, wow, if I do it this way, wow, I can't.
So there was kind of like a specific moment where my videos, I was trying to do videos like, Adam and Garrett and more kind of vlog style, but that's not me and that's not my personality. I was just like, this is how you're supposed to make videos. I tried a bunch of styles. Like I tried to do like really cinematic-y intros and stuff for a while. And at some point I kind of went back to what I thought I was going to be doing when I started YouTube before I knew what YouTube was like, which is making, showing the work. That was like a conscious shift I made to where I'm like, I want to not make it a how-to, but show the work. There's a lot of videos where you don't really get to see what it takes, the process, what goes into something being put together, right? You see like, okay, we're going to put it together and then it's kind of together. And I like watching stuff where it's not necessarily intentionally teaching me something, but I'm learning something from watching it. Oh, they're putting this drag car together and, they've got this plate that they bolt over here to allow them to put the transmission in first or, whatever the case. So I started shifting more towards that. And then the videos got better. And then really, Cletus helped me because he randomly hit me up. I had blown up the first motor. I built my LS Miata, and that series was like doing good. I think that brought some people in. And he was like, hey, you're going to rebuild this motor I saw. Like, bring it down here and we'll do a dingleberry hone, because they had done that to Ruby's motor. And I thought he like wanted to make a video, for his channel. Cause I'm like, oh, it did well on his channel. That's why he wants to do it. He didn't. He took like 3 hours out of his day to do this dingleberry home video for me, for my channel. He didn't ask for anything in return. He just wanted to do it to help me out. And
that's cool.
Yeah. Yeah. He did a lot of stuff like that, and I've been trying to get him into drifting, and then we went drifting together. And, I think and it's funny because I would intentionally like not plan to film when I'd go, to do a video with him. I'm like, oh, I'll just be present in your video, so I'm not taken away from your video trying to film my own thing. And he would be like, no, you need to film a video. So you have a video. Like, why wouldn't you, And, it was something that I didn't seek out. Like he did.
He's being nice.
Yeah.
He's being a cool human being.
I wasn't like, oh, maybe if I can hang out with Cletus, I can get it like a shout out. Like, not at all. And I mean, that's probably,
he has a very good heart.
That's probably why too, that he went out of his way, or, one of the reasons. And, anyway, I think that period hanging out with him, he gave me a lot of opportunities, and something I really, really respect. I mean, I respect many things about him, but, even after he had like Vaughn bringing the whole rig down there and all this, like, he didn't need me anymore as like the drift guy that was helping him get into drifting. And I like put Donnie together with him. But he'd still always invite me, you know what I mean? Even though he didn't need me for that anymore, he'd still always invite me. But anyway, I think that really helped to where I think maybe some people had lost interest in my channel, and then it gave them an incentive to come back and try it again. And then they were like, oh, the videos have gotten better. You know what I mean? And then from there, it was like pretty solid. And then I bought my house, and that really, it went up there. But I think a lot of that was during like the pandemic time too. It seems like a lot of people had a lot of growth then.
Yeah, because everybody was home.
Right. And then, it's come in waves since then. I mean, really, it's been pretty consistent for the last like probably 3 years, 4 years. Yeah. So, I mean, it's a struggle though. I mean, it's like, I say that as someone who worked a normal job for 10 years, like it's a struggle in a different way, like I don't have to wake up I do wake up. I try to wake up early every morning, but I don't have to, right? I don't have to go report to somebody, but like every video you're like, is this one going to be the one that's just going to get half the views that they've been getting? And then if the next one gets half, then that's it. Then what do I do? What am I going to do after this? So
is that something you worry about?
Yeah.
Considering YouTube is your form of revenue right now?
Yeah. I mean, it can be fickle, and you're kind of reliant on viewership, and so it's like, I don't know, it's stressful. And also deciding what's good enough to make a video, what topic, so there might be something that people would watch that I'm like, no, I can't make that a video. It's too simple or whatever for it to be a dedicated video. And then I'll put all this time into this other video over here, and people see it as like how I saw the one that I didn't make.
With that, right, with the content you produce, right, and I like a lot of the stuff you've done, right. Let's get to the fabricating part, right, and or when you think about what you're gonna build and what you're gonna cover. One thing I've noticed in your videos that really says who you are, you can't leave anything the fuck alone, dude.
No.
Lawnmower. you improved, right? The hydraulic jack, you improved to help the shop, you've improved. You can't leave anything alone. You're like Iron Man, right? Constantly tinkering, and then you tinker with it, and then you take it out and try it. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So you're like Robert Downey Jr. and Iron Man,
Just
right?
junior version.
So I think my question to you is what causes you, and I think your viewership sees your passion and sees your OCD and sees your passion for efficiency, right? What constitutes that in your mind on fixing up the garage, buying general equipment, and then not being satisfied? What inspires you to do all this?
It's funny you say that because I think I've recently, just yesterday maybe, I was thinking about this, and I do get a little OCD about things for sure, maybe a lot, but I like learning things, and I do go down some rabbit holes, and it dawned on me, what was it? I was doing something. This is a great example. So yesterday, before I came here, right? I was working on putting this hydraulic thumb on my mini excavator, and the lines.
An excavator. Okay, this isn't a Corvette. This isn't a.
I like variety.
Okay, excavator.
Well, yeah, I learned how to do dirt work and stuff because I want to build my own garage edition and blah blah blah. Anyway, so I got a bunch of upgrades for it. Speaking of, and for that and my little tractor that I got, and that's the last piece is this hydraulic thumb, right? But the point of this is the lines. The lines were not the right size to hook up to the machine, which I knew, and I just thought I needed these adapters to these quick couplers. And I'm like, these aren't right. And I spent like 30 minutes trying to find the fittings based on all the fittings that I know about, right? You have MPT, you have JIC, and then you have AN. But you don't. You have like way more than that. And there's like in hydraulic hoses. So I'm like trying to figure out what these fittings are. I'm like, are they metric? I'm measuring, where it goes into the cylinder and the top. And it's like not the like AN flare. It's the flare where the other side is the bubble. And I'm like, I can't figure this out. So I finally find like a list on this website of all the different types of fittings. And they're NPSM, which is like,
wow, I've never heard of that.
National Pipe Seat something. But it's that's a specific type, and there's a few different other ones, and I'm like, oh wow, and I didn't know that. And then the measurements all added up. I'm like, okay, that's what they are. I need to find that style of fitting, and it clicked in my head. I'm like, this is how I end up down these rabbit holes. Is it usually stems from having to figure something out and then like just getting way too into it, like the whole equipment thing, right? I kept coming across these little like Temu mini excavators and skid steers on Marketplace for like $4,000. I'm like, well, for that much, I mean, it'd be worth having one maybe, And then I started looking into it, and then it's like, oh, well, no, because like the $4,000 one has these problems, and if you spend 6 or 7, you get like this kind. And then next thing I knew, I'm like learning everything I can about excavators and the difference and how they're built and all these things. And I'm like, I don't even know how I got here, but it's,
what's going through your mind with any type of equipment you have?
I think it's just, it's the desire to learn. And then as I learn, I get really into it. And I'm always been the type of person where like about the only thing I'm a fan of that I don't do and will never do is F1. Like, I'm not the type of person that can get into something and interested in something and just from a fan perspective, right? Like, let's say I wasn't drifting. If I got really into drifting, like, best believe I'm going to do whatever it takes to be able to go drifting, and it was like that with the equipment. Like, I got really into the equipment and I had all these projects I wanted to do around my house that I thought I'd never get around to because I'd either have to rent it or pay someone. And I'm like, oh, I want to do this. Like, I really, really want to do this. So I'm going to make it happen, And I guess that's like the mentality. And then I just like efficiency, and I like I guess I get a lot of satisfaction out of improving stuff.
Yeah, same
you
here.
know, and,
Same here.
and thinking outside the box. Like my forklift thing, R2, you know, I'm putting the remote on it. It's something I
That
thought
was
about
cool.
for a long time.
That was fucking cool.
Life-changing. I mean, I use it all the time now. And, you know, that was just something that I thought about for a long time, and it was wiring, you know, I was like, but different. And I had like looked at it and I wasn't sure how it would work. And then one day I'm like, I really need this. So I just took it apart until I figured it out, you know, and I just get a lot of satisfaction out of that. And, learning and the end result, you know.
Yeah.
Well,
The funny thing is, when you first built the shop, right, you had it a certain way. And then you realize, wow, I need more space. And then what happens with the rabbit hole is like, oh, well, I can go up.
yeah.
And then when you went up, you're like, well, I need to get up there. And then you ended up modifying the
R2.
Yeah, the level control, all that stuff, making all remote control. That's what's kind of interesting and hard to understand for people who are like to go in rabbit holes.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah, it's like I don't really even understand how it happened. And sometimes it doesn't happen like that. It's a, what is it called? A walkie stacker, where it's like a forklift, but you walk behind it. That's something I didn't rabbit hole on initially. Like I needed something to assemble the 3-car stacker lift I got from BIMPAC. That was the main thing that I needed to put together. And I knew I was going to build lofts and I was going to need something to put those together. And to run a forklift for 2 separate weeks was like $2,000. So I'm like, if I can find
Just
something for
fucking buy
$2,000, then I'll buy it. And then that's what I did. But that one, I didn't like rabbit hole on trying to learn all about them to figure out which one I should get. I just kind of like found one that was a good deal time frame wise. That's another thing that people don't see with YouTube is, you know, for example, say I'm putting that thumb on, and in a perfect world, I would figure out the exact right fittings and the exact right length line and order it all up and just wait a couple weeks and then put it together. But that's not a great example because I could do that. But like if I'm trying to finish a video and I need that part to be able to put it together, it's like, I got to just figure something out, you know? So I think sometimes the viewers I don't think they make that correlation where they're like, well, why wouldn't you just order a longer tube for your transmission tunnel instead of using the 4-foot tube that you can get? You know, why wouldn't you just wait till you could get 10-foot? Like that's what I would do. And it's like, yeah, but then I was already this deep in and I would have to basically abandon this project for 2 weeks while I wait for the tube. So like I just went with what I had to figure out a solution with what I had.
Well, sometimes you're just like, I've started it, I'm going to finish it.
Yeah. I'm, you know, I don't like leaving off unfinished, but I have also learned recently, I figured this out for myself. If I'm working on projects for multiple days, right? And I would always want to get to a certain checkpoint at the end of each day. But I realized for me starting the next day, it's actually better if I'm kind of in the middle of something. Because if I finish something and then I've got to start on, let's say I finish the front plate mount for motor plate, mid plate. I finish that up and then I'm like, okay, cool. Tomorrow we'll start on the mid plate. Well, tomorrow I come in and now I've got to decide how I'm going to design, build, fabricate this mid plate mount. Whereas if I stopped in the middle of the front plate mount, then I already know what I'm doing. I already have a direction. I already know what the next steps were. So I can kind of get straight back into it. And by the time I get to the mid plate mount, I've already got momentum. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Whereas if I have to start from zero or, you know, warm up on designing and figuring out how I'm going to do something, I have a harder time. So I don't know. I just realized that recently, and yet I still try to finish. And I also try to put very rarely do I not put all my tools away at the end of the night. Every night. I
am a big time, like when I do a project, right? I hate it because when you're in a project, you're focused, right? Zoned in. And then it's like a whirlwind of the process of an engine mount or a bracket or any particular part of the engine bay, suspension, whatever it may be, right? And then all of a sudden you wake up after being in a zone and you're like, damn, what happened to all the tools? So what I find myself doing, I've been working on one of my friend's Land Cruisers, right? Is after I get through a concept, all right, put the tool away, tool reset,
Uh-huh.
and then get back at it. I've even gotten to the point where after I'm doing grind work and stuff like that, I don't like the feeling
Oh,
of
same dude.
chromoly or steel on the ground
That's
because when you
so
walk, I'm
funny.
like something as simple as walking on
Yes.
steel on the ground. It's not exactly trash, but that steel on the ground bothers me when I walk
Yes.
past. And so after I've done grinding, I'll clean
Sweep
it up.
up.
Yeah, sweep up, and then I'll put it back in the bin. And then 10 seconds later, or 10 minutes later, I'll be grinding again.
Yes.
And then get back.
It's so funny you say that just because literally yesterday doing that thumb, I had to cut the old ears off for like where a factory hydraulic cylinder would go, which are like 1/2 inch thick steel, and then grind that down and weld a 1/2 inch plate, which like is gnarly, you know? And I was sweeping up the grinder dust and I'm like, I'm going to grind again to finish cleaning this up. But I'm like, but I can't do it. And I was just thinking about how I hate the way it feels when I'm trying to work, and
details,
I
right?
feel
Details.
it, the grittiness under my feet. It just bothers me.
Yeah.
It bothers me.
You know what's funny? The late and great Kobe Bryant, right? A lot of fabricators and a lot of people who do things, whether it be business or executing a project, right? It's all about the details. I remember Kobe Bryant saying he'd take in detail the sound the net made when it went through the net, and he
Interesting.
enjoyed that. And when he shot the shot, he'd always want to hear that noise when it went through the shot. So same thing when we're fabricating, it's all about these little details
Yep.
that will help produce a great project or a successful project. But fuck, shit like that, like walking past where you grind, I was just like, you know what? I think what I wanted to do, right, is having a grinding area with a vacuum that there's no way that shit's gonna hit the ground.
Oh, yeah,
and
yeah.
constantly vacuuming it so that way you didn't have that. But you know, I guess me and you share the same thoughts of being OCD.
Yeah, dude, I have to have a neat work environment, and that's something that like I struggled with for a long time in my
And it
early
shows
days of
in your
YouTube.
shop. Oh
yeah,
my
I
God.
had my friend Sam, her and her boyfriend Robert. They're really cool, and they came to get this table from me that I was tossing, and she had texted me later, and she's like, "Do you have someone clean your shop?" And I was like, "What? No." And she's like, "Robert wants to see like how you work. Like he doesn't understand how your shop is that clean like all the time." And I'm like, I'm just potentially OCD because I can't let it be cluttered. Like it just bothers me. Like I can let one little area, like I'll have like a designated workbench or toolbox that can kind of be cluttered because you know you can't always have a space for everything. You know, like I try to. But then, you know, you get something that doesn't really fit in any potential space. So you're like, okay, well, I'll set it there. I'll deal with it later. But I feel like that helps too to keep everything else organized is to have a place where you can be like, okay, I'll just put the junk here for now and I'll have to deal with it later. But I just can't stand working in clutter.
I feel it right here, where it's like, well, it's the same thing that goes. It's like you can spend the 10 minutes you spend or the hour you spend fabricating, right? If you keep everything organized, you could easily lose that hour looking for.
Oh, 100%. I know so many people who live like that. Like you've seen the many like, 10 mil socket lost the.
Yeah.
And I'm like, I don't relate to that at all because I don't lose my tools.
Yeah.
Like I have lost in the last 4 years, let's say. We'll even go shorter. We'll say 3 years. I lost one. I know exactly the two tools that I lost. I lost one 1/4 inch 6 mil Allen socket, which I then found. It fell behind a table. And then I recently lost a big tool, a big pair of cutting dikes. That's it. Those are the only two tools I've lost in over 3 years because I put my tools back. And it's like, it does take more time in a sense, but you spend so much time looking. And then for people like us, I am way less productive when there's a bunch of clutter. Like there's something about like, this is one thing I dislike about fabricating, you know, when I've like, I've got the work rest up, and I've got the vise on the welding table, and then I've got I needed a level, and I needed a square, and then I've got the gloves, and then I've got the heat, and then like the table starts to get really cluttered, but I need all this stuff on it, and I'm just like, I don't know what to do, because it's like I don't want this clutter, but I need all this stuff here, and
It's
just
such a crazy sickness, you know what I mean? And here's another thing that you're lucky, right? Is you work by yourself, right?
For the
And
most
do
part,
everything by yourself, right? You know what I hate beyond all recognition is working side by side with somebody who's a ferocious mess.
Yes.
One of my most pet peeves where they leave airlines on the ground.
Yes.
And you go to use the grinder and they didn't bother throwing away the shrapnel or the extra piece. I'm just like,
Oh my gosh,
oh
not
my
to call
God.
out.
How do you live like that? How do you work like that?
Man, that was like my struggle in the early YouTube days is everywhere I worked, I was sharing a workspace with other people. Like for the first several years, I think at least the first couple of years, I can't remember how long I did YouTube when I lived in my Orlando house, but I was doing YouTube out of a 2-car garage that was shared with 2 other car people. So like, and my side was organized, but then my roommate Fed's side was like, it was a lot of stuff. All of us had a lot of stuff to try to fit. Like I can't even imagine now, obviously I couldn't fit my stuff, but it was so tough. And I remember when I first moved into my house that the shop wasn't anywhere near like it is now. It was just closed in the back and then like a big carport, but it was just like the best feeling in the world. I'm like, I am finally going to have a space that I can keep as organized as I want. And like nobody else's stuff is going to impact my organize. It's only me. If I make a mess, if I clutter it up, that's on me and I can clean it up. That's the thing too, right? Like if it's somebody else's stuff, I can't just go clean it up because they might not want me to. And that, man, it's like I have to remind myself sometimes of like, what that was like, I'm spoiled now having my own space.
When I used to work at a shop, right, I'd put my toolboxes in such a way that way it wasn't open, where there was only one way in and one way out, right? And I was a hell of a tool Nazi, so to speak, where it's like, dude, you don't. It's like eating a man's fries, right?
Yes.
Don't touch my tools,
Yes.
right? These are my tools. And everything at the end of the day, I would lock that shit.
Oh, I
right?
bet.
So there was no way they can steal anything. And then another thing, especially being in automotive for over 35 years, right?
Crazy.
My dad taught me, take care of your tools. Dude, the amount of tools I've hoarded.
I bet.
I have got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12 toolboxes solid.
Do you
Full
use tools from each one, or do you just kind of like have a collection of tools?
Well, the problem being is like, take for instance something as simple as a screwdriver, right? I'll hoard screwdrivers, and that my screwdriver box, right, organized, right, is 2, 3 drawers deep of screwdrivers from 1989, 1988. And mind you, when we did bikes, I still even have all my old bike tools from the mid 80s. I'm like, oh, cool. I still got my nipple tool, all that stuff. And I hoard that stuff because my dad taught me, he goes, take care of your tools, because if you take care of them, you can do anything you want. And so just hoarding tools and being able to have any type of equipment.
But do you find yourself, I struggle with that with like older tools where I kind of like stop using them and I start using the new ones. And then I'm like, well, why do I have these still organized in a box? But then if I get rid of them, then maybe I'll need them. Do you find yourself still using some of those tools, or is it just to have them almost as like a collection?
Well, what'll happen is I have a particular box. Well, everything's organized according to what its purpose is. Like I have a whole box dedicated to nothing but electrical, right? And I won't throw away a pair of dikes. I won't throw away a pair of, it's unlike if I have a broken tool, I'll chuck that fucker, right? But if the tool can still do the job, I'll hoard it. And I have like a whole half a drawer of nothing but, if not a full drawer, of nothing but dikes.
Right.
You know what I mean? Or nothing but channel locks.
Right.
You
Or
know what I
needle
mean?
nose
And I'll
pliers.
just keep it. But
What
it's-
I'll do, what works out for me is that I have, obviously the shop, and then I have the trailer toolbox, and then I have my tool bags, which I take like in the F80 if I drive to the track. So I can just keep hand me downing the tools to the other spots, like
I
whenever
bet
I
you
get
have
new
tools
ones.
for the house. The main.
Yeah, I don't. I need to.
So that way you don't have to walk.
I need to put together. I do have some like in my office on the pegboard, which I have like all my camera gear organized on a pegboard.
Oh, nice.
By the way, like a giant pegboard on my wall, because But yeah, I need to put together a more complete tool set for the house, because it is annoying. Like I got to put together a bed frame, and I like walk out, and I get the little impact with the screwdriver. Then I get back in. I'm like, it's a freaking Allen. I gotta go back out. It sounds so silly, and people would say, "Oh, that's so trivial. Like, what's the big deal?" And it's not that it's that big of a deal. It's just
I don't feel like walking to the garage.
Yeah, it's not even the effort. It's like I don't know. I also don't like taking my tools out of the shop and bringing them inside, because then I'm like, well, I might forget
It might
them
end
in
up
here.
a black hole.
Yeah,
Never see in the Bermuda Triangle.
Right. I just want, I want like a little. I should do that. I'm glad you mentioned that, because I feel like I've got a few tools that kind of don't have a place. Like I've already got what I need for them in my tool bags and in the trailer and in the shop, so they can go in the house.
In the grand scheme of things, it's way easier to work when you know where everything's at.
I think, some people don't have a problem with that. Like some people,
They'll work like a tornado.
My friend Marco works like that, and he would get mad at me because I wouldn't like to go over there and work sometimes with him, on his car way back, and I was like, dude, I really want to, but it just like, I don't know where anything is. Like it drives me, like there's tools everywhere.
Yeah.
I don't know if he still works like that. But that said though, if it's like 8 o'clock at night and I got to get up at 7 a.m. and drive 12 hours with the trailer, and I still haven't loaded the trailer yet, and I'm working on the car, like those are the times where it will get cluttered and messy, and I'll just hammer it out. And it's almost like the anxiety of needing to get everything done overwhelms the desire for it to be organized.
You know what's funny is I worked at a buddy of my shop just to help him out. And I was like, hey, where's this particular tube? And he looked at me, he goes, pretend you're in Tijuana. And I was just like, what? All right, I'll figure it out. He goes, figure it out. You'll be able to find something. But
right.
It's so hard to work in those type of environments. And mind you, I'm not saying that you can do great work in those type of environments.
Right, you can.
But your odds go up exponentially of doing great work in less amount of time when things are organized.
I think so. I believe so. Yeah. But it could also be just for people. Maybe it's just people like us that it's that way. But I think the time I spend, and that's like why I spend more time on the shop. I think of something that can be improved. I'm like, well, if I get this tool or I, put new cabinets here, right? Like where my little cabinets are now, I can put new cabinets here, right? And then I can organize my oil better and go through and redo this to where now all my fluids, that there's some fluids I didn't even know I had because they're buried in the back of this thing and I can't get to them. And then I'm going to be more efficient on doing all these other things.
You know what's funny about what we're talking about right now? That's how racing works.
Yeah.
You should never, ever, right, be satisfied with what you have.
Oh, 100%.
You're always, that's part of the reason even with drag racing is, even after you've run a 9 flat or even after you've run an 8 flat, it's never enough.
I think that is like it is a slippery, a catch-22, a fine line. So it's a weird one, right? Like I always am pushing to progress and to learn more and try new things and have new capabilities, like getting micro CNC mill and lathe machines. I know that I still had to tell you about that. But yeah, like there's all of that, but I'm not I'm not driven by the pursuit of more money, right?
Mm.
So like I'm super content with what I have now. I just want to maintain it, sustain it. My push for more and more is growth and like knowledge and understanding and the satisfaction of learning those things. So that's where it's like, because you'll see people that, you know, they get the M3 and then they're like, oh, okay, well, I want the Lambo, and then they get the Lambo and like, I want the GT3 RS, and they're never happy. And I think I'm not that person, and I don't want to be that person. Like where you're kind of chasing the next thing. But you know, it's weird because it's like,
but you see more of a person that is always looking for that enlightenment.
yes,
You know what I mean?
and the edge, like when it comes to racing and a car, like in that case, I'm the it's never enough mentality. Like the Miata was competitive, but I'd be like, it can be better. It can be better. It can be better. And that's like,
But then you had the Corvette,
yeah.
and you're like, wow, this is amazing.
Yeah, like this is so much easier. But then now the Miata, once it's done,
Ooh, that's going to be interesting.
V76.
Speaking of, okay, with all the vehicles you produce, you've done the Fummins, the Cefiro, the Miata still in play with the NASCAR motor, the Corvette, the drag racing Mazda RX-7. What's your favorite project vehicle that you've enjoyed and gotten the greatest satisfaction? And we're not talking about jet boats now, okay?
Yeah.
But
No,
out of all
no,
your
no, it wouldn't be that
projects,
one anyway.
which one is your favorite? Or two?
So in terms of the project, like the one that means the most to me is the Miata, for sure. Because, you know, a lot of memories with it. I've done a lot with it. Like when I built the car, I had no intention of competing. It just happened to work out. I went to Texas and decided to compete in Pro-Am while I was there and won. And, you know, so that car, like, it brought me into that world. And I don't know, that car, a lot of sentimental. I would say the project I was probably the most proud of to date is, and it's in such a different way than what I'm looking for my personal satisfaction now with builds, but was the Fummins. Because
Really?
yeah, because it was like I was trying to find, you know, the ideal diesel truck, like used under $20,000, and it's like they all have their major pitfalls. So then it was like, well, you know, you could do the common Earl Cummins in the 08 Fords. You get the nice luxury Ford, you get the Cummins, and you get the good Ford transmission. And I had thought about this and debated this so much prior to that. Not just that build, but like what truck to get, open trailer, enclosed, diesel, gas, you know. And I thought about that build, and I'm like, man, that would be great. And I was like, yeah, but would I ever really do that? Like that
looks like a major undertaking of what you did with the Fummins.
It's a different kind of project. Like it's not building a race car, you know, like that's a project. And then I'm talking about taking this thing tens of thousands of miles with a trailer, you know, like, and the fact I think that's why that one I got the most satisfaction out of, because, you know, driving up a mountain in Kentucky, towing the trailer and everything working fine. You're like, okay, this is, it's like a very different goal and result, you know, like trying to build something that not only functions like an OEM vehicle, but better than the OEM vehicle.
Really?
You know, and
you made it better than factory.
Well, I don't know. The 6.4 might be good when it's not blown up, but they blow up. You know what I mean? But like, just for it to not only work, it's not like got a piece of hair. It's not like it's a race car that you want to be decent on the street. It's like its sole purpose is towing and street driving and comfort. And so the fact that it achieved all of that was definitely like a pretty surreal moment for me.
Wow.
You know, and just, yeah, it was a good truck.
Wow.
Good truck.
And then it was funny, you bought a new one that ended up being a fucking lemon.
It's the first time I ever got stranded towing was with a 2020.
Yeah, a newer truck ended up being the biggest lump of shit.
Yeah.
Holy
Isn't
moly.
that funny?
Yeah. What is the worst build you've ever had?
Ooh, I hope whoever has this car does not see this. Oh, well, there's a couple. Yeah.
Oh, there's a couple, huh?
Well, my AE86, that one's not that bad. It didn't turn out. I made the wrong choice not beam swapping it. That's what I should have done instead of trying to do the car Webers and whatever. But that one's not really. That's an honorable mention. But the Safiro. And it sucks because I put a lot of time into that car.
Yes, you did. I remember.
Oh my gosh, that was like that was my first big project after the Fummins, actually. And the Fummins was one of those projects where I was so into it when I was doing it. Like that was like my life was getting that done because I basically had the time buying a house and moving around, finishing the Fummins, you know, because it's like I had no way to get around, right? And I had no way to move. I'm like, I can't afford to pay to move my trailer and get this truck towed and all my stuff. Like, whereas if I get the truck done, then it can tow my stuff, right? Anyway, the Safiro, just because the K series, and I'm like, why do I not learn my lesson? Like, I'm over here wanting a Miata for like a missile thrash car because Ben just put it together a little turbo one, and I'm like, man, we could go back to the days of like Miata tandems, and they're so cheap to run because they're light, blah 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 blah. And I saw a K series one for sale. I'm like, man, I should just do that because like an NA K series is so sick because it makes like 240 horsepower and revs out. But at least in the Safiro, in the rear wheel drive configuration, it was absolutely terrible. It sounded like the clutch was going to come through the floorboard at any moment and take your legs off. And I tried everything. I built a transmission mount using valve springs so that the transmission floated on valve springs. Then I thought, okay, it's the combination of the BMW ZF transmission, which is what I was using, and the thick clutch because the flywheel spaced out thing because it's an adapter plate and whatever. So then I found a QuickTime bell housing to a T56. So then it could be like stock offset, basically just a K-series clutch with T56 splines. It's going to be great. Nope, same. Exact same. Literally sounds like what's weird though is drifting, it sounded fine. But like street driving, it literally sounded it still baffles me to this day. The vibrations and the noise. It just if it was meant to be a race car, it would have been sick. But for the goal was for it to be what my F80 ended up being, and it was terrible.
Wow. So, what's next for Taylor Ray? What's going to happen? You have skill, you have property, you're OCD. What's next? Taylor Ray manufacturing, where you're making your own parts?
Well, that's my like if YouTube doesn't work out, fallback plan. No, my main goals right now is just one, I want to drive more next year. So basically, I really want to get the Miata done, but I'm doing it at my own pace because it's a passion project too. But the Miata will be a lot better for the tire limited comps. You know what I mean?
I can't wait to see you back out there. Actually,
I can't wait. I'm itching. But also the vet, and then taking the bus out more. Like I want to drive more next year because I've been focusing more on projects the last couple of years. But project wise, I really want to basically build a garage addition to my house because it allows me to actually build it because you only get a certain amount of accessory structure square footage, and then it would give me more. It's like a double win, but it has to be like attached or whatever. But just for more car slots, because I've learned, if a car is like hard to get to, you're probably never going to drive it. So I want, to do that. So that way I have more cars that I can just get in and go for like, if I'm going to go to the store or whatever. And that's part of why I bought the equipment, do that and do some concrete around the house. I kind of want to build like a couple little like electric drift carts with bodies on them. And maybe like, again, with the equipment, build like a little drift course through my yard.
Oh, nice.
And I've got a lot of like I need to get another container for storage, like one specifically for tires. I need to concrete behind my shop under the lean-to. And basically just kind of like, but this is what I keep doing to myself is I'm like, well, I've just got this last batch of projects, right? And I'm going to finish these and then I'm going to go drive a bunch. And then it's like a year later and I'm still not done with those projects. So, but my goal is to try to get that stuff going and get that stuff done and just keep expanding my capabilities within the shop. There's like a few tools I still have yet to get. I got the CNC micro mill and the lathe. Got both of those functional. I haven't done a test CNC program, but they're functional. I need to get a big like dual bandsaw because that's something I use all the time.
I see your little Fisher Price My First Mini one on the table.
The portaband stand.
Yeah.
Well, now it's not on the table because I rebuilt that whole table, right? Because I was gonna go get a bandsaw during that whole process, but I couldn't find one in time. So now it's like clamped to my other table. So I really need to get that done so that way I have a proper bandsaw. And then, yeah, just some stuff like that, right? So just there's a few more capability expansions that need to be done in the shop, property stuff, which I can do here and there, you know, but driving more next year.
So there's the passion to get in the seat more, huh?
Yeah. Yeah. It's like, it's not that I haven't had to drive. It's just, I mean, maybe a little, but it's mostly just, well, you know, I'm working on this few shop upgrades right now, which I finished that like a couple of weeks ago, but I didn't finish it. You know, there's still like probably another 2 weeks worth of stuff that I thought I was going to have done then. Right. So then I'm like, oh, well, I'm just when this is done, then I'm going to, you know, I can't do this event this coming next week because, you know, it's too soon. I still got to finish this project. But then you do that. And then the next thing you know, like 8 months has gone by and you've driven like, you know, I've driven a bunch of like OSW events in my F80 and that kind of stuff. But like, as far as like serious events, I've hardly driven this year. So then you're like, it's always going to be like this, isn't it? Like the projects are never going to be done to where I feel like I can go on a trip.
Same pain. I've got 3 projects at home that haven't even got done.
And they're like, oh, I got to go on this trip. You know, as soon as you get in the groove on it, it's tough.
So the fire for driving still there.
Oh yeah.
Here, one last question, right? You've been with us for a little.
It's been a while now.
Yeah, it's been a while now. Any particular memories that stand out with Nitto and Taylor Ray?
I'll say probably one, probably the most fond memory. It's like a two memories that piggyback, right?
Mm-hmm.
So, you know, we had first talked and then, you know, you guys started working with me and I don't think you'd seen too much of my driving yet. And then
I haven't.
You were the clutch kickers. I made it to the top 8 and you were texting me and you were like surprised. And I could tell you were surprised, you know, of how I was driving, which felt really good. Right. And then the next round winning it and just like seeing your reaction. And it was cool too, because it was literally like that the Nittos, switching to the Nittos, the 225 NT01s on that car was like that final little push that the car needed to win. It like didn't have the power. Then I upgraded the power. Then I had the power. Then it was kind of braking. Then I fixed that. But then I was more power than grip. And then the Nittos were like that last like piece of the recipe that just tied it all together.
Yeah, it ended up pushing over the hump and we were like, fuck.
Yeah.
Dude, this thing's fucking hauling ass.
And just, that was just such a cool experience for me to like share that with you and Harry and, you know, you guys tell me how excited you were to see it.
Yeah.
And it was like right after I switched to Nittos. That's probably my favorite memory.
Dude,
I think about that a lot.
Nuts. And then even with the Corvette during the later end, the tail end of clutch kickers, where we put the drift spec on it.
Yeah.
And that fucker was
my gosh, so fast. I mean, the first clutch kickers, the last clutch kickers there was at the time was on the vet on 315 scrubs, you know, and it was ridiculous. And that was my first time trying it. I wasn't even pushing on like the limits, you know? So there's so many. I mean,
after what I saw you did at clutch kickers, right? And mind you, some pros were going to clutch kickers and competing and seeing how well and your car control was in there. I was like, you know what? This guy can fucking kick some ass. In fact, we have guys in FD right now in pro that have no business being there. And I can see you being like, you belong in pro. Like I would vouch for you. You know what I mean? After what I saw at clutch kickers, right? And even with your Corvette, I think you would be a threat, a major threat, and you know, finish top 16. But it just boggles my mind, right?
I think it's important to note too that the coolest thing for me about working with Nitto is, like we're friends. Like me, you, Harry, like we're friends regardless of anything else.
Yeah.
And so I don't know. It's just that's probably, I guess, why there's so many cool memories, because it's like getting to do cool things and achieve cool things with your friends,
With cool people
that are helping you achieve the cool things. You know what I mean? It's like there's not much more you could ask for. You know,
it's a great friendship.
Yes,
you know what I mean?
Exactly.
And that's how we've always treated all the people that we're partnered with. It's one thing to be partners, right? But it's another thing to be good friends and enjoy cool things with cool people with cool cars.
Yeah, and you guys are have always, from what I've seen, you're about the passion and about people who just love doing this and people who are passionate. It's not, so many people in business these days, it's just numbers. It's like, okay, well, this guy maybe has a little more numbers, but doesn't care about this at all. He's just doing this to do it. Like, you guys be like, we don't want that guy.
Yeah.
We want you or this guy, because they're passionate about it. They're like us. Like, we're all nerds. We're all car nerds. And
we have fire.
Yes.
To do a good job.
And to learn more and figure things out. So,
but
yeah, I feel like we're out of time.
Thank you.
Jibber jabbering.
Thank you for coming by. You're my brother from another mother. Appreciate everything you do. I can't wait to see, and you're always coming up with something new, right? And I enjoy watching it. I wouldn't mind seeing you compete at something of caliber, Formula D, because I know you do well. Some guy. I hate to say it, but some guys in Pro 1 just they don't need to be there. You know what I mean? They need to either go to Pro 2 and call it a day, but they just have no business being a Pro 1. But I can see you being in Pro 1 and doing well, because I've seen it and I believe it. But
maybe one day.
Maybe one day.
Maybe one day, not too far from now. I don't know. We'll see. You never know how things are gonna go.
Maybe get that. Oh, who's this? Oh, this is Vaughn Gittin Jr. What do you want? Hey.
Got to speak it into existence.
But hey, brother, thanks for coming by.
Yeah.
Thanks for coming by. And
thanks for having me.
I enjoy looking at everything you do, whether it be a Pro FD car to boating to organization and stuff. It's enjoyable to watch your videos.
Thanks, Ron. And if you guys have not,
we'll go boating for sure.
We need to do that. But if you listening have not. If you don't know Ron, you should take some time to research Ron and realize how OG of an OG he is and all the crazy stuff he's done. And this man still got more fire than most of these kids on TikTok here trying to pretend like they're into cars. So anyway, he's a great host for the show. That's why I was one of the many reasons I was excited to come on. One, because, Nitto, but also,
psychopaths beget other psychopaths. Yes. OCD people beget other OCD
nerds
people.
Beget nerds. We all love this, and it's cool to be part of it. So
I can feel that love. So that's the latest episode with Let's Be RONest. And it's always nice to have different types of people on. Obviously, Taylor Ray, I respect is where respect is due, especially with getting to the bottom of what makes you tick. But thank you for tuning in. I hope you guys have been inspired and entertained. And we're out. Be sure to subscribe on YouTube and Driving Line for our latest and greatest interviews. But let's be RONest, and we're out. Peace out. Nitto or nothing. See ya.
Bye, everybody.